A racy conversation between Tormund and Brienne, Cersei in a blood-soaked bed, and Jon's farewell to Ghost were all chopped from Season 7 of Game of Thrones. Yippee-ki-yay movie lovers, it's Jan here, and today I'm looking at some of the best scenes that ended up cut from the 7th season of HBO's mega popular fantasy series. By the way, my Game of Thrones Funko Pop giveaway is also running on this video, so for a chance to win, make sure you're subscribed to my channel and leave a comment with your thoughts about the deleted scenes or the show in general. And quick warning, I'm talking spoilers for all seasons and speculation for Season 8. The fearsome wildling leader, Tormund Giantsbane, is one of my favourite characters on the show, and he's had some fantastic moments that bring a lot of humour to the series. And ever since Season 6, when he first laid eyes on the mighty warrior Brienne of Tarth, the formidable Tormund has been struck down with puppy love. There have been some hilarious scenes of Tormund eyeing up Brienne, and so far she's ignored his advances, but fans of the pair may be sad to know that some lines of rather racy dialogue between the two were cut from this season's very first episode. The lost moment took place after Tormund approached Brienne in Winterfell as she was sparring with Podrick. The red-haired wildling was going to try flirting with Brienne by telling her about his experience with Sheila the bear. You can see a little clip still in the episode where Brienne walks off in disgust while Sansa and Littlefinger are talking overhead. This would have been a funny callback to Season 4 when Tormund tried to impress his fellow wildlings with his story claiming he'd had carnal relations with a bear.
Oh, that was a night to remember. Her fangs were sharp, but she knew how to use them. And she was nice and soft down below. Oh, she was no ordinary beast.
Ygritte was having none of Tormund's tall tales back then, and clearly Brienne wasn't impressed by it either, or as the actor who plays Tormund says, she didn't like his pickup line, which is hardly surprising for all sorts of reasons, including her own experience having to fight a bear when she was captured by Bolton men back in Season 3. In fact, Brienne's pretty uncomfortable generally with the whole Tormund situation, which was made clear in a deleted scene from Season 6 that showed Sansa teasing her about Tormund's interest, which sent the great warrior into a fluster of embarrassment. Still, I do hope Tormund and Brienne survive at least a good few episodes next season so we can see their paths cross again. By the way, Tormund's attempted flirtation with Brienne at Winterfell wasn't the only moment featuring the wildling talking about bears that ended up cut this season. In episode 6, when a giant undead polar bear appeared out of nowhere to attack Jon Snow's ranging party, the first words out of Tormund's mouth were, "I've danced with plenty of bears," though that line sadly hit the editing room floor. And the premiere episode also cut down another scene, this time with Sam and Gilly. It's during the scene where Sam is studying books in the Citadel's restricted library and remembers about the mountain of dragonglass sitting beneath Dragonstone. In that scene, Gilly picked up a book called Legends of the Long Night and started to read herself. Unfortunately, the part where Gilly reads aloud from the book was reportedly cut out, so we missed out on hearing some very interesting lines, including the following. The white cold rose up and the walkers rose with it, and the sun hid its face for a lifetime, ashamed at something none could discover. In the cutscene, Gilly claims she knows what made the sun do that, and tells Sam that Craster was drunk once when the time came to give one of his baby boys away, and he told the child, "Come on, time to meet your brothers." Gilly also reveals that some of Craster's older wives referred to the White Walkers as Craster's sons. Gilly then thinks back to the time when a White Walker attacked her, Sam and her baby, and questions whether he was actually one of her brothers. Now I wonder whether this scene was cut because the audience already knows about Craster's sons being turned into White Walkers, which we saw in Season 4. However, it's not clear whether any living character on the show really knows this, though Jon Snow did catch a glimpse of one of Craster's sons being taken in Season 2. Maybe Gilly's reveal will be included next season instead, especially if it makes a difference to how the living can defeat the army of the dead. But it's a shame that Gilly's lines were cut this season, as they would have made her role a bit more meaningful, and they would also have highlighted her part in uncovering important information, even if by chance, like she did in episode 5 with Rhaegar's annulment of his marriage to Elia Martell. And while we're on the subject of scenes with Sam, the first episode showed a humorous montage of what life was like for the budding maester after he arrived at the Citadel. And although it felt plenty long enough as it was, there's actually an edit of the scene which is 7 to 8 minutes long, which the episode director has described as hilarious, so perhaps we'll see that as a Blu-ray extra. We finally got to see Arya briefly reunite with her long-lost direwolf Nymeria this season, but our other favourite direwolf, Ghost, was sadly chopped from his only scene, which was planned for episode 2. According to the season 7 outline, there was a short scene where Ghost saw Jon off from Winterfell as he left for Dragonstone. In the cutscene, Jon told his direwolf, "Look after anyone named Stark Boy," which feels like a touch of irony from the writers given the full reveal of Jon's true heritage later in the season. It's a shame that Ghost was ghosted this season, but the reason was probably financial. Game of Thrones' budget for special effects will have already been stretched with the need for a lot more dragon and White Walker action, and apparently direwolves are more expensive to animate than CGI dragons. I suspect also a decision was made that we should see Nymeria instead, as she hasn't been seen since Arya had to leave her in the woods in season 1, and their reunion underlined just how much has changed for each of them since then. In fact, this isn't the first time that Ghost has had his screen time cut down, as a scene was deleted from season 6 where Ghost menaced Alliser Thorne and other Night's Watchmen. And according to the director of Battle of the Bastards, Ghost was going to have a big part in that episode, but it was just too expensive, and when they had to choose between Wun and the direwolf, they picked the mighty giant instead. One character who brings some humour to most scenes he's in is Bronn, so it was a shame that the scene of him and Tyrion having a little reunion that was originally intended to be in the 5th episode was dropped from filming. It looks like it would have occurred just before Jaime arrives at the secret meeting with Tyrion that Bronn helped set up in King's Landing. Of course, we did finally see the two men back together on screen in the season finale, though given how much fun the scenes they share together often are, it would have been great to see more of them. Littlefinger's death was a long time coming in Game of Thrones, and it took 7 seasons of his scheming to finally come crashing down on him before the Starks realised that he was the one who'd set everything in motion. Sansa even admitted that she was a slow learner in the final episode, after still getting played by Littlefinger throughout much of season 7. In fact, there's a deleted scene where Sansa goes to Bran to ask him for his help before she executes her own sister Arya. Actor Isaac Hempstead Wright, who plays Bran, revealed in an interview with Variety that it suddenly occurred to Sansa that she had a huge CCTV department at her discretion, and it might be a good idea to check with him first before she guts her own sister, so she goes to Bran and Bran tells her everything she needs to know. According to Hempstead Wright, they did actually film this scene, but I can see a couple of possibilities for why it got the chop. On the one hand, if it had been included, it would have taken away from the drama of the scene where Sansa calls Arya in and it looks like she's about to sentence Arya to death, but then she turns the tables on Littlefinger. Also, the deleted scene further highlights Sansa's ongoing naivety given the fact she was still getting manipulated by Littlefinger and ultimately needed Bran's help to figure out what was really going on. The season finale set up numerous storylines to propel us into season 8, but there is one crucial scene detailed in the episode outline which didn't make it into the final episode. The cutscene would have occurred just after Jaime stormed off from King's Landing in disgust following Cersei's refusal to honour her agreement to send the Lannister army north against the Night King. The scene is set at the Red Keep in King's Landing and has Cersei waking up suddenly in the middle of the night to discover her bedclothes covered in blood. This scene, which implies Cersei has just miscarried, would have made a big difference to how season 7 ended, and it feels like it would also have had strong parallels with the scene we saw in the finale of Lyanna Stark lying in a bloody bed having just given birth. As season 7 left Cersei still apparently pregnant though, her future baby has already given rise to a number of fan theories. One such theory is that Tyrion has made a deal with Cersei behind Dany's back to arrange for Cersei's new child to inherit the Iron Throne after Daenerys. We know that Tyrion was concerned about the succession and Dany's apparent inability to have children, but what we don't know is if he had to agree to something in order to change Cersei's mind and make her publicly support Dany and Jon. Tyrion didn't look very happy when Dany and Jon were hooking up at the end of the episode either, likely because of the political problems their romantic relationship could cause. But if that Cersei fan theory is correct, Tyrion could also be worried that if Dany does conceive her own child, it would scupper his deal with his sister. In any case, I do wonder whether this cutscene has been moved to season 8, meaning that we might still see Cersei miscarry. Indeed, her miscarriage may be foreshadowed in Jaime's words to his sister that, "Our child will never be born if the dead come south." Of course, Jaime was thinking of the Night King's undead army, but technically the undead have already come south in the form of the White that Jon and Dany brought to the Dragon Pit. I think the way the White clawed at Cersei after it came dangerously close to her could also be some ominous foreshadowing for Cersei and her baby. For example, Cersei could die either through miscarriage or in childbirth, which could fulfill the Valonqar prophecy that I talked about in detail in my video predicting who will die in Season 8. Alternately, it is possible that the showrunners have decided to go the route of Cersei lying about being pregnant, so the scene could have been cut for that reason. So what do you think about the Season 7 deleted scenes, and do you think any of them should have been included? Also, what were your best and worst moments of this season? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and also don't forget to subscribe for your chance to win an awesome Game of Thrones Funko Pop. The winner of my last giveaway for a Defenders or Punisher Funko Pop is on screen right now. If that's you, then send me a message with your details so I can send you the prize. If you enjoyed this, hit that thumbs up button, and also check out my predictions on which characters are most likely to die in the final season of Game of Thrones. Or you can watch more of my deleted scenes videos by tapping the screen right here. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers!